Hello, everyone. My name is Kieran. Welcome back to the Newport County Pre-Match Podcast. Haven't done one of these in a little while. It tends to be the introduction I always give with one of these because I tend to be very inconsistent with them. But nevertheless, we're back here for a Mansfield preview. We're travelling up to the One Call Stadium on Saturday. As I speak, we're about to kick off against Bristol Rovers in the EFL trophy game, which, you know, we all love. So, that'll be a good talking point, I'm sure, going into this one. But I'm joined with Russell and a special guest, of course, from the Amber and Blue chat. How are we both?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, all right. He's a little bit nervous, aren't you? Yeah, and he's got a little bit of toothache, but he wanted to come on and show his face, didn't you? Yeah.
Love that. So I'll just go in and just kind of read a few things and then kind of go from there. So, in comparison, in terms of league position, there's an obvious favourite, Mansfield, third in the league, 16 games played, 8 wins, 8 draws, undefeated. The only undefeated team in League Two. I'd like to say it's the EFL as well, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a pretty nice one for you to have. In comparison, we're 20th in the league, 5 wins, 4 draws, 8 losses. Your recent result being a 2-1 away win to Salford. Our one being a 0-0 at home to MK Dons. So just to start this off, of course, I don't mean to say it immediately in a negative way, but Mansfield, the way I kind of portrayed them at the start of the season in my predictions and whatever, I said that you just narrowly miss out on playoffs because you tend to be the kind of team that do that kind of stuff. But as of right now, I tend to not sound too smart saying that. How was the start of the season went for you? Because I'm sure you wouldn't have expected it to go this well.
Well, it's just been phenomenal, hasn't it, mate? It's just, you know what can you say? We started off the season, again, suddenly got blighted by injuries, and you think, oh, is this going to be the repeat of last season? You know, performed so well, but hit injuries, drop points, and it's just, for some reason, this season, it just feels different. The team have managed to cope with injuries to big players, and I think most of the starting 11 at some point this season, apart from I think Christy Pim's not been injured, has he yet? I think apart from Christy Pim, have been injured at some point this season, and we just seem to have coped. Oh yeah, he's fun for a little bit. So yeah, we think literally everyone has been injured, and we've carried on and done this quite really amazing thing, to be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice, but I think now on a Saturday you get a little bit more nervous now because you think, oh, is this when it ends? How will we respond? But I think we had a good test last week against a good Salford side, and I think last season we'd have lost that. But yeah, we've come through it, and now it's on to Newport at home.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic start, and like I said, I didn't really expect you to go on and really be in this position you are, especially now that I believe it is now over a third of the way through the season, and surely a lot of that has to go merited to your defence. You've got the best defence in the league, 13 goals conceded so far. How do you kind of see the way you've defended? Because I've heard so much credit go to Aidan Flint, and the fact that he is in this league is superb.
Yeah, honestly, I think not just Aidan Flint, but like Bailey Cargill, who, you know, it's easy to praise the likes of Aidan Flint because he's just quality, and, you know, he'd walk into, I think, any League One and League Two team. And we are lucky that he lives so close to Mansfield, and I think that's helping make his decision. But like Bailey Cargill obviously got promoted with Forest Green Rovers. Obviously, he had an injury, but he's come back from it. Jordan Bowery, who by trade originally was a striker, who's converted to a fullback almost. He's been playing right. He's been playing right back, hasn't he? And just kind of owned that role and played fantastically well. Obviously, played all season as a right back, played as a striker Saturday and got a goal. But I think not just Aidan Flynn. At the Doncaster game when Alfie Kilgore, who's such a big player for us, took that season-ending injury, we all kind of thought, oh no, but I think the confidence and reassurance that Flint gives everyone, it just kind of galvanises the team together. But Christy Pim has been in superb form. He he looks a different player from the one we had on loan last season, to be honest.
Yeah, it's you have players at the back that admittedly can be credited, and like you've said there, Aidan Flint can be a good reason for that, just because of the experience he's got. In contrast, we've got the second worst defence in the league, so that's always fun. 32 goals conceded. That's nearly to a game. It's not quite. We're only second worst to Sutton, who have conceded 37. I heard you talking on the 606, the lower league look sports media, all of that stuff. There's links in the description as per usual. But I heard you talking about, while you've got a good defence, if you were to look for realistically anyone in January, it would be potentially another striker. Is it still that kind of a situation where you're not confident with kind of players up front?
Yeah, I think so. I think with the fact that Will Swan, we signed him on a 3-year deal, and he's not really found his feet yet. It will come, but it's just not yet. The injury to Reece Oates, who's just coming back. We never really covered Danny Johnson leaving. I know some fans, Mansfield fans, liked him, some really didn't. But at the end of the day, it's a League Two striker that you need to try and cover for. I think that's probably where we're weakest, aren't we? We've had games where we've dominated, haven't we? Really? Should have won. And we haven't because of the lack of goal scoring power. But, I think we'll get there. If we can keep ticking over until, the window opens, I think probably Luke Armstrong might be in with a shout. I know we were big fans of him. We were looking at him, but obviously he went to Wrexham. Whether Wrexham still want him, whether there's an agreement there with Harrogate, we don't know. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens. But I think that's probably our weakest area for me.
Yeah, you mentioned Luke Armstrong. He was a fun topic over the summer, wasn't he? What was it? You lot, then it was MK Dons, then it was Wrexham, then that stopped. Wrexham was arguably a panic buy last minute, and then all of a sudden he's still at the Harrogate, and it doesn't look like he really wants to play there. But moving swiftly on to just kind of speaking about Mansfield a little bit more, there's a certain player that I know who you know who I'm going to talk about. That's what I should have said. Of course, it's going to be Aaron Lewis. Played 101 games for Newport. You mentioned that every single player in your first team has picked up an injury. I'm going to assume Aaron Lewis was one of that. He had a few injury problems at the club previously, but admittedly, he was one of the ones, like I said to you, just on Twitter DMs, he was one of the ones that in terms of a versatility standpoint and a probably League Two player standpoint, he was the one I was most gutted to lose. So what are your thoughts on him? Not that I probably need to ask.
Edward, what are your thoughts on Aaron Lewis, mate?
I like him.
Is that it? He's good. He is. You like him because he's good. That's fair. He has been, for me, the best. I know a lot of people will say Aidan Flint's probably been our best signing, but for me, watching Aaron Lewis pre-season, his passing, the fact that I don't know if it was the same at Newport, but when he gets on the ball, it tends to feel like time slows down. It seems like he gets the ball and there's never a rush, there's never a panic. It seems to be like he gets that ball and he knows where it's going, or if he can't find the right pass, he'll take a minute. And I just think for me, genuinely so far, he's just been, well, my player of the season so far. I just think he's been that good for us. I think when he started, I think watching him pre-season, I think Nigel Clough was probably a bit like, right, yeah. And I'm not sure whether Aaron was signed as an instant first starter. I don't know if he was signed as cover for Stephen Quinn. Obviously, Stephen Quinn gets that injury. Aaron Lewis comes into the team. And I just think since pre-season, like just watching him pre-season, he was probably our standout player, wasn't he, Aaron? Pre-season. Or Keeler Dunn, yeah. But I think genuinely, Aaron Lewis, for me, I know there's players out there like Flint, like Keeler Dunn, who's getting all the goals and the credits at the minute, but Aaron Lewis has just been superb for us, honestly. He's just genuinely a nice guy. Every time we've met him, he's been really nice, hasn't he? You sat next to him at the fireworks and he was really nice. And yeah, just genuinely a nice guy, fitted in with the team. got the fans on side. As daft as it sounds, he puts on Instagram up the Stags, but he puts a Z on the end of it. Obviously, now that's took off, and a lot of Stags fans are doing it. He just seems like a genuinely good player, and again, lucky to have him.
Yeah, it's insane. I know a lot of Newport fans are the same way when we lost when we lost Cameron Norman to MK Dons, not the other way around. When we lost Cameron Norman, we had this bit of I saw a bit of anger towards the fact that he went to MK Dons because, of course, they're not a very loved club, and we thought that Cameron Norman could have made the step straight back up to League One. It was very similar with Aaron Lewis, but we were all kind of mentioning as well, Mansfield are always going to be a team at least in and around the playoffs in League Two. So to move at a club that I think most Newport fans, admittedly, because of playoffs and everything else, there's going to be a history of some fans aren't going to like Mansfield. But personally, I quite like the club, and that's not me saying it out of the fact that you're here. I do quite rate Mansfield as a club, and I realistically always have, because I've not really experienced much bad with them. But yeah, Aaron Lewis, the thing I noticed about him the most is that, yeah, he's one of the ones that can dictate how a game's kind of flowed. But what I also noticed is when he's off the ball, he's always putting himself in positions that is a safe option. If something goes wrong in an attack, he can just pass it back. And Aaron Lewis is always there to kind of keep hold of the ball and play it out or do anything else with it. He always gives that a safe option, and that could be, I haven't watched Mansfield realistically at all this season, but that could be another reason for the defence. Does he do anything off the ball as well that you kind of notice with his positioning and everything in between?
He seems to me, obviously, he plays. Is it left wing? Are you saying left? Left wing. Go on then. Where does he play? You saying centre mid. So there's a bit of discrepancy between us where he plays, but I think when he's played, he kind of like, we've got Louis Reed, who used to be at Swindon, who's our CDM, isn't he? He sits just in front of the defence. It tends to be when he goes forward, Aaron will just drop behind just in case, or spreads himself over to the wing ready. But again, I honestly can't say enough good things about him. Like if I was League One and I was looking at Mansfield in January to purchase players, I think obviously you'd have Flint, Keeler, Dumper. I think Aaron Lewis is definitely on that list. I think he's settled in well, and it's just like his goal against Accrington. It was just one of them completely out of the blue that before that ball had even landed at his feet, he saw that goalkeeper and thought, I'm just going to try it. And it's that kind of thing where, and again, that goal, it just seemed as time stood still as he just hit it. Just think, yeah, he's just a superb sign, and obviously a big loss for yourselves.
Yeah, definitely a big loss. We've already noticed when he's been gone. We've done decently in replacing him and players around, but I think that, no matter how realistically hard you go in replacing a player like that, he's one of the ones where, unless you're watching him kind of in-depthly, because he doesn't get loads of goals and assists and everything, you don't really notice him unless you're looking at where he's positioning, what runs he's making. And yeah, we all had the kind of disagreement of where does he play. He played in the midfield, he played wing back, played as a winger. I even think for a game or so he was playing as a more attacking midfielder. But yeah, he's a huge loss, and I'm absolutely gutted that we've lost him. But back onto the goals you've had that you've struggled to score. You've said that you've had a lot of games where you should have scored, you should have won, but you haven't taken it. It's been very similar with Newport. We've had games where we've had loads of chances, even against MK Dons as of recent. We could have realistically been 3-0 up at half time, but in the same way, MK Dons in the final 30 minutes could have scored 3. So it would have been interesting to see how that one would have went if players are more clinical. But like I mentioned, we've got the second worst defence in the league. We're conceding nearly 2 goals a game on average. I think you're scoring up towards 2 goals a game on average. Does that give you even more confidence that you're going to be able to pull out a result against us?
I think there's a couple of factors going into Saturday. Obviously, you've got the former manager visiting us. who, for me, I never really particularly liked at Mansfield, I'll be honest. When he joined us, he gave the statement of, I've took this job because it's closer to home. It never really fills you with that confidence, and he never really settled. But he's come to you guys, he's settled, and he's done really well. I think it'd be a difficult game for us, although you're conceding, on average 2 goals, we're scoring, nearly 2 goals a game, let's say. I don't think it'd be like that Saturday. I think it'd be quite nervy, especially from our point of view. I think we've got a couple out with knocks and injuries, and then we've got to see how this week goes with the few that we've had to wrap in cotton wool. So I think it'd be a lot closer than we think, and I probably think 1-0 Stags. What do you think, Edward? 4-0. You don't think it's going to be close then? No. Yeah. So massive difference. I think we've both gone for a Stags win, but yeah, I think it'd be hard on Saturday.
Oh, admittedly, I'm not going to go in and say, I think we're going to pull out a huge result and all this other stuff. If we're going to beat a team, of the admittedly different in form, the difference in probably an overall team, like we mentioned, just having Aaron Lewis for us, that was a real sucker punch in the fact we're playing against, and saying that we kept Cameron Norman pretty quiet. So I'd be in the hopes that we can do the same with Aaron Lewis. Yeah, again, saying that we didn't keep Mickey Dimitriou very silent when we went up there to play them. So, yeah, there's, like you said, a lot of factors. Graham Coughlan, for me, and I think for most Newport fans, the fact that we've got probably the lowest budget in the league. There's a few teams that you can maybe contest us with. I know that everyone was saying about Morecambe and all this other stuff, but I think we're definitely one of the lowest, if not the lowest, budgets in the league. We've done well with players we've been able to bring in. We've got obviously a good influence in the Welsh leagues who brought in a player from there. But you've mentioned that you've had an injury crisis and you've kind of started to come out of it, despite the fact you're having to necessarily put players in cotton wool to make sure they don't get injured. We've got, realistically, an entire squad out injured because things have happened. We've had a couple of players out on long-term injuries now. We've got Declan Drysdale, who was a defender who came back, did really poorly against Bradford and Salford and all this stuff, and then against Gillingham and MK Dons, saying that, I don't know if he played against MK Dons, might have been the Oldham game I was thinking of, but he did really well there. He's injured now, so that's absolutely fantastic. He's injured until the new year, so we've lost him again. We've got this game that we're playing. We've got Seth Palmer-Holden coming back, who's an attacker we've loaned from Bristol City. He's back on the bench today. If he gets involved, if he's going to be able to play, is going to be an entirely different kind of thing. But yeah, we've not got the greatest squad in terms of availability, especially with the fact we've got a midweek game. So I suppose one of my final questions, you've given kind of predictions there, 2 very different ones. I'm going to say 0-0. I'm just going to be really boring. Admittedly, I don't see us scoring against your defence. Yet the things you've mentioned about you being poor in front of goal, I'm just going to be in the hope that you're poor in front of goal again on Saturday. I suppose the final question I've got in terms of a upfront one, what players do you have that you think will threaten Newport? Of course, you've got the obvious ones, but what ones that maybe I wouldn't know about necessarily being a Newport fan?
What would you say? Rhys Oates. So Edward says Rhys Oates, and I think that's fairly good shout. Rhys is another one that's coming back from an injury. He is really pacey. I don't know what you guys are like at the back. If you haven't got no pace in your back line, then I think Rhys Oates is probably the player that will punish you the most. You think? And James Gale, who's a young up-and-coming striker, quite tall, wants to win the ball, quite aggressive. Again, if you haven't got a tall defender, he might cause you problems. But I think out the 2 of them, probably the one that you may know but not that well is probably Rhys Oates. I think his pace, and if you play a high line or a slow at the back, I think he might cause you problems.
Yeah, we've got two forms of Newport. You've either got a pressing Newport, we don't allow a team to play out the back, or we've got a Newport that is very frustrating hoofball, as we call it. Just kick it up to the front man, who would be Omar Bogle, and hope it goes well. But yeah, we've lost Kyle Jameson, who I don't know if you would know, who he is as a centre back. Used to play for Tranmere, Oldham kind of teams, but he's had injury problems. He's facing them again at Newport. He's out until God knows when, end of the month maybe, if not going into next month. But I actually brought up a final question, if you will, as I was saying that kind of stuff. How do you expect, not necessarily to line up, but what are the ways you kind of play? How do you, get the ball from point A to point B necessarily?
You saying tiki-taka? Yeah. So Edward's going tiki-taka. We do. One of Mansfield's good things, even if it's a draw, is we do play good football under Nigel Clough. We like to pass it around, try and open space. This is, again, where Aaron Lewis comes in, and the patience that he has. He will get on the ball, and if he can run with it, he'll run with it. But if he can't, he'll hold it up. He'll look for the likes of Louis Reed in a bit of space, or ping it across to the other side. But yeah, I think ours is a more passing game. And I think if you play a high line, we will look to probably pass our way through that. We don't tend to resort to oof ball unless we're trailing or it's in the last few minutes. Then don't be surprised if we throw Aidan Flint up front, which we have done at Colchester, and surprisingly enough, it worked.
I'm going to hope that if we are winning, that isn't going to happen. Again, I don't see a world. It may happen, but
yeah, honestly, it seems to be our go-to thing. We was losing against Colchester, and Aidan Flint went up, and obviously he's big lad, created the goal, and then when we were losing to Chef Wednesday or Port Vale, he threw him up front again. So he's not averse to throwing him up front just to cause problems. And I think if you're quite small at the back, that might be one thing to look out for as the game goes on. You might see Aidan Flint suddenly getting in these positions that you wouldn't normally see him getting.
Yeah, it's one of those where we've got, admittedly, a pretty tall back line, but it tends to be that if we are to give goals away from the air, we've seen that Andy Cook had success in the air, and we know that Liam has a thought process on what he thinks of Andy Cook in the air. So, it's always fun to see. But yeah, it's one of the things where we may not just be great at marking. So hearing that you're a team that rely on passing the ball around and kind of maybe it's quick, short passes, it doesn't fill me up with confidence, because maybe it's a situation of your team's very patient and it will take a pass if needs be. And if you can find a pass through our defence, I don't think we've got the pace to compete with some of the players that you're mentioning up front that do have that pace. I'm going to be in hopes that you're not too clinical on a Saturday and you're going to have one of those games. I'm going to hope that it's going to be one of those where you may have chances, and you probably will, but we're going to be in the hopes that you're not going to be able to take them. And it's been a thing that I've seen a few Mansfield fans talking about. Equally, I've seen Newport fans talking about it. So, yeah, unless you have anything else you kind of want to say on the fixture, I think...
No, I'm quite looking forward to it. It is our dedicated Rainbow Laces game, so we will have proud stags walking the players out, and that's been a really good thing for the club, because it's getting people that may not feel safe or may not want to come to football because of like previous past incidents with football. It's supporting everyone, and I think it'd be a really nice game for it. And I'd ask all Newport fans to show their support for it.
Yeah, I equally support that message. Football's for all at the end of the day. It shouldn't be a thing where people are worried to go to football because they have different backgrounds or they have different things that they do to others. At the end of the day, football's for everyone. It should be a thing that everyone can enjoy. So that message and the fact that it's the dedicated fixture for Newport Mansfield. I think it's something that Newport fans and the club will definitely be behind, and it'll be something that I'm behind. I'm debating going to Mansfield or not, but yeah, it all depends. I've heard the food there isn't too bad, so I might have to give it a trip.
Yeah,
So,
have a trip down and see like the world famous 3 stands, because we've only got 3 stands. I think might be the only team in League Two with 3 stands actually. So yeah, hopefully, mate, have a travel down, and it's not a bad game, and you all enjoy it. But like I say, my final thoughts on yourselves. I don't think you'll go down. I think your new chairman obviously did amazing things with another club, not a million miles away from yourselves, but I think that you're in good hands moving forward. And I think if you can keep ticking over until January, until he gets his feet under the table, you get a bit of investment. I think you'll be onto a bit of a diamond there.
Yeah, I'm going to be in the hopes that we can, turn it around and have a bit more optimism. Then are we going to stay in the EFL? Because at the minute, being a fan-owned club, that's kind of what we've had to think about. Yeah. But I'm sure closer to January and all this stuff, it'll be something that a lot of Newport fans, or potentially a lot of League Two fans, will be talking about, is how Newport will kind of, go under their business with Hugh Jenkins. But I think a really important thing we kind of need to take is to not necessarily don't expect things magical to happen like they did to, the other club that aren't too far away from us. But we shouldn't be, demanding it or expecting that to be the bare minimum. I think just it'll be kind of a Gillingham thing, a short project, a long-term project, but hopefully it'll lead to some long-term success. But I suppose for the rest of the season, especially leading up to January, we've got difficult games coming up, but equally we've got winnable games coming up. So it's all about picking up the points where we can. Hopefully we're in an okay position and we move from there. So yeah, hopefully there's a lot of things to look forward to from a Newport point of view, but equally, hopefully there's a lot of things going well from a Mansfield point of view. I would not complain if my prediction of saying you're going to bottle playoffs is fine. I won't be too mad if I get that one wrong.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just exciting. It's nerve-wracking being up there, but it is also quite nice. And I think the fact is, because everyone's been talking about other teams in the league, it's kind of given us a bit of a platform to just keep under the radar and just keep doing what we're doing. I think that's helped the players and benefited everyone. So, long may it continue. Let's hope that, come the end of the season, your guys are safe and, you're building that platform ready, and hopefully that we get out this league. I mean, it's been a long 10 years in it, to be fair.
Yeah, admittedly, it's been a long 10 years for us for equally as frustrating reasons. We're not exactly a team that are too kind when it comes to playoffs. Regardless, 2 losses in playoff finals in a row to Morecambe and Tranmere, respectively, is incredibly frustrating. But can't look back at that. Hopefully, we can look forward and, both clubs do well. But, I would wish you the best of luck for this game on Saturday. But because it's my team, I'll hope for the best of luck for you after Saturday.
Yeah, and the same goes for you. I think you'll be fine, and I look forward to a good game Saturday, and hopefully all your fans that come down have a nice, enjoyable day, some nice food, a few beers, and then hopefully you don't go home with 3 points. But other than that, hopefully you have a good day.
Enjoy it, but don't enjoy it too much. That's the
one.
So other than that, it's 20 minutes into the Football League trophy game, and it's 0-0 between us and Bristol Rovers. That'll be the final thing from me on that. I will not be talking about that game because that competition doesn't really interest me too much. But other than that, thank you very much, mate, for taking the time out of your day to hop onto this. If you want to just kind of say the things you'd like to promote that I can just chuck in the description at the end of this video.
Yeah, no worries. First and foremost, thank you for having me. Really enjoy talking about Mansfield. It is one thing that me and Edward are both passionate about, aren't we? Any Newport fans enjoy this? We have a weekly Twitter space called Amber and Blue. We'll be back next Wednesday reflecting on the Newport game, win, lose or draw. So feel free to come and have a listen. We not only talk about Mansfield, but we talk about our thoughts on Newport and where we think they'll end up as well. So thanks very much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on. So with that, I'm going to conclude it off here. If you could all leave a like, subscribe and share and comment and all that wonderful stuff, it'd be much appreciated, and it really helps get these videos and admittedly get League 2 out there a bit more. Support the channel in whatever way you see fit as well, using the links in the description. I hope you will enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon or evening whenever you're watching this, and I hope that I come back onto this talking about we've won the game, we've got 3 points against a high-flying Mansfield, but we'll have to see how it is. Take care.